The Ruins of Vaal. It's the new league mechanic that was added in with patch point 4 of Path of Exile 2. And I've partnered up here with Path of Exile 2 to give you a sponsored video going into this league mechanic and how it works. But before we get started here, in my typical fashion of upfronting the knowledge of my videos, let me give you the down and dirty of what we're going to get into. We recently just got a big patch that entirely changes the way that the Vaal map works, the ruins, the rewards, and everything. But really the down and dirty of it is that now when you go through the ruins, anytime you encounter an exalted workbench, a regal workbench, any of the workbenches that are otherwise tied to a currency, you don't need to use it or lose it. You can take that currency, you can extract it. So if it says a regal workbench, you can press a take button, and now you have a regal orb in your pocket that you can then leave the ruins with. This is a huge improvement, and it unlocks quite a bit of mid to now late game worthwhileness of doing these. It used to be kind of, yeah, this is really great at the start, but at the end, it wasn't really having as much worth. Also, destabilization is less drastic whenever you do the architect or the final boss of the map. In addition to that too, the rewards as a whole have been increased. And even when you just simply find the crystals across the game map to actually empower them, you're going to get a chest. And until you get to the late game, that chest will just simply be blue, but it has a chance to be a rare chest as you progress forward. A lot of things too happen like that. For example, extracting that currency happens after Act 3. So when you're first making a brand new character, you won't be able to extract that currency, but you will once you get to the latter portions. Well, that's it too long. Didn't watch this entire video. And that's all you wanted to know. Please feel free to go ahead and shut the video down. I want to be respectful of your time. You can navigate ahead to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters with the timeline and the description. And if you end up enjoying this video and you found the information in it helpful, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. Let's get started here on my ultimate guide to the Vaal ruins in Path of Exile 2. Before we get started on the map of Vaal itself, let me tell you how you'll access it. By simply jumping through the game, you're going to notice in pretty much every single region, you'll have this big circular location and these crystals around it. These crystals are going to empower when you kill the wave of monsters that appear at this location. Eventually, once you kill them all, a chest will pop up. You'll get that chest now as of the most recent patch. And in addition to that, you'll empower one of the crystals that surrounds this. Once you've empowered 6 crystals, a gate, as you can see here, will open up and you can access the ruins. Loading into the game, let's take a look at some things as it pertains to the Vaal ruins here. Now, as you see, I've already built out some of this, and we actually had a bit of a change most recently, and that's the whole point of this video, right? Just kind of go over some of those changes. So those changes basically change the scaling of how a lot of this works. Now, after Act 3, you will start to get the currency from these items. Now, what does that mean? So if you take a look at some of these things, if I say, look at the guardhouse, may contain a bench allowing modification of equipment. That bench could be an alchemy bench, could be an exalted bench, could be a regal bench, and all those correspond to an orb of the same name, a regal orb, an exalted orb, what have you. So after Act 3, you will actually get that currency from the bench if you so wish, rather than just simply using the bench. How does that help you? Well, if you've already gone through the Vaal ruins before and you're clicking this video and kind of trying to figure out a little bit more about them, this just means that you'll never kind of have the ruins be wasteful. If you get a lucky roll and all of these rooms that say may contain actually do contain, will then allow you to pull that resource, that currency out of it so you can use it further. Now, as you level up the tiers of these garrisons, you'll be able to, I believe, get better currency. And don't quote me on that because we need to do more testing on it. But how this really works here is you have multiple buildings, and these buildings are all done from these room cards right here. Essentially, what you want to do is build towards this architect's chamber. Once you defeat the architect, he will reward you with medallions as well as a console. That console will then eventually unlock the chamber. And if you don't understand this and you're maybe getting lost a little bit as you go through the game yourself, like, what did that guy say? Just hover over this. It's all right here. It's pretty And you go and press the lock button. I can just drag this over here, and it will pretty much say that completing the temple will destabilize portions of it, where some of these rooms will break apart, and then completing the architect or the Aziri here will have a greater destabilization, having even more of these rooms will break apart. The restricted rooms are what you get after you defeat the architect here. It says that once you defeat the architect, you'll gain access to the console, and that will allow you to place restricted rooms. Completing a restricted room will cause it to destabilize. One of these rooms is the royal access chamber, which is required to access her, Aziri, Queen of the Vaal. So basically the way that you would do that is by going through the architect first. Now the medallions that the architect will drop, though, have a number of things that allow you to now, as of the most recent patch, place different things on the board that have already been placed, move things around. There are a lot of different medallions to really kind of go through, but just as a kind of primer here, I guess not a lot, but still there are plenty of medallions to go through, but basically they allow you to kind of break the rules of the existing game. Now, when it comes to placing rooms, you initially can just kind of place them all willy-nilly if you want, but now, as you'll see, the most recent patch also made it so all these rooms can kind of connect to each other. You don't basically place a room and can't place another one. So you pretty much will always have some sort of connection depending on what that room is and where it is in the whole entire map. So what you really want to do, though, is, so for example, here we have a guard, a barracks. We want to try to, I guess, wombo combo these as best we can. Bronze works, for example. This is a smithy, and I can place one here. And tier 3 allows further improvement of equipment quality above 20% because chests have 15% more item rarity. And all these things are important because if you look up here, the temple mods are all part of these. The garrison, 15% increased number of monster packs, 15%, 15%, 20%, 20%. All that adds up right up here at the top. Rare items, rare monsters have increased effectiveness. Now, what does effectiveness mean? Because it means differently than it does in other portions of the game. Effectiveness, as it pertains to this, means more monster life, experience gained, and quantity of items dropped. So, across all the things that we have placed on this board, we now have all these cumulative temple mods or benefits that we can take advantage of. So we want to try to stack these things as best we can. So take a look at the bronze work here. If I place it right next to this depot, you can see what it does in the upper right-hand corner. Humanoids monsters now have 45% increased effectiveness. So you just get a pretty outright benefit of what's going on. If I can try to place this other places, doesn't look like it's going to do me anything else. This guardhouse here is going to drop at a level 1. You can see if I place it right here, it's level 1. But if I go ahead and place this over here, it says there's no level there, it goes to a level 2 and it upgrades this commander's hall. So you can see the reflection up there. So when you're placing all of your rooms, not runes, sorry, you can just drop them all willy-nilly if you want, but try to make them make a little bit of sense here, right? For example, the Golem Works Workshop, 8% increased effective temple mods from generators, Synth Flesh Labs, Flesh Surgeons, Transcendent Barracks, and Alchemy Labs. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those, so I don't have to worry about this as much. But I can place this in a location where it makes sense for future expansions, because you can see those little red symbols for the dynamo. This means that it'll only kind of affect those rooms in that range. So I want to make sure I have them roughly placed well enough. So if I say place this here, let's say place the workshop, like this workshop won't get any benefit from this. Contract monsters have increased effectiveness. Let's go ahead and place the workshop right there. And we'll place the dynamo here. So you can see this has an effect directly on the workshop, which I didn't think it would. And it's going to level that bad boy up. The guardhouse we can place here, or over here, or over here to level these things up as well as itself. And I have another depot we can play around with as well. So let's see what we can do. We can probably place, and we also want to try to get this direction, right? So what I'm going to do here is, let's get a little fancy with this. So we're going to place a path here because we want to still get towards that architect's chamber. And bronze works won't, only the depot, right? Okay, so let's see what we can do. We place this. Let's go ahead and place this. Let's see. So place this here. Yeah, okay. We're going to place this guardhouse here. And then we're going to place this depot here because it's going to increase the guardhouse. It's guardhouse or barracks, the barracks. Why do I call it a guardhouse? It's going to increase that. And then we're going to take this bronze works, and I can place it right here. In all honesty, this is probably the best way to do it, because this then opens up the architect, and that's probably the best thing to do. So we'll do that. So what I've done here is I've opened the door to making it far more accessible to getting both. We're getting the depot here leveled up, and this Hall of War got leveled up from the depot, and we were able to kind of leapfrog all these benefits into, boom, the architect's chamber. So that was a really good configuration, and you're going to find that you'll stall out with some of these. Sometimes they won't be as fluid when you're going through the placement, but the most recent patch is going to make it so that when you make these connections, completing the chamber or the both these chambers is not going to result in as big of a destabilization. I think a minor destabilization is 2 or 3, and a major is 4 or 5, but I believe it's now been changed with this patch. So we're going to go ahead now and run this temple. And by running through this temple, we're going to go ahead and just go through all these rooms. Remember, going through these rooms is going to be able to give us the chance to have things drop for us. All these things are going to have these cumulative mods, so we get to go and have fun. So let's go ahead and run this temple. So now we're just going to rip ourselves through this dungeon. It's pretty much all it is. You're just going to kill your way through stuff. I'm going to jump after this section to talk about some of the standout things you're going to see, like the workbenches like I described. And as you go through this multiple times, you're going to learn that there's certain challenges to certain portions of this. Like, hey, I've put so many empowered rooms in this direction. These humanoid monsters are just dunking on me. Or I've put up so many workshops and these golem labs and all this other stuff that all these constructs are just working me over. So this is just a way to understand how to approach this and understand even before you jump in by looking at the map. Hey, these are going to be the challenging portions of this. This is when I have to lock in. Or hey, this is going to be the challenging portions of it. This is when I need to know I need to be on top of my rotation, whatever it is. So I'm just kind of jumping through this here, but let's now pop into some of the more critical points about the actual ruins themselves, some things that you should know before kind of closing things off with I don't want to show you the architect fight. I had actually recorded it separately, but I'm like, I want you to experience it. It's not as fun if I just ruin the fight for you. I think a lot of these videos are like, hey, this is how you do the fight. The fight itself is fun, and I think you'll be totally fine doing it. So that the architect and the final fight are their own different beasts, and they're not in this video. If you do want those things, let me know in the comment section below, and I will do a spoiler walkthrough of how to do both of those fights. I just didn't want to, again, spoil it if all you want is a base understanding of this mechanic. But let's now jump into some of the nuance and some of the things you're going to encounter. Now, one thing I like to do, this is kind of just like a little thing I do for all these dungeons. I like to try to have something in my stash before I go in that is magic or common or white like this. And then as I'm running through the ruins, and this is a rule that I had before we were able to extract the currency, but I've got this like this so I can go through the ruins and empower any of these items. I would always keep it in my stash and go, cool, I got to a ruins, pull this out before we go in, because if we go, you can't go in and out. If you go in and you leave, you'll destabilize. And I think you can go in and out within a very small period, but if you go in, fight almost all of it, then come out to try to do this, it'll cause destabilization. So you have to make sure you don't complete it before you come back out. I believe that's the trigger here. We don't need to worry about this anymore because we're going to extract the currency, but it's a nice thing to do in the very beginning of the game if you're just jumping through and you haven't gotten through Act 3 when that currency extraction comes through. This allows you the chance to run through, hey, you know what? I came by a regal, right? Currency, Orb of Alchemy, right? An alchemist desk. Okay, upgrade a normal or magic to rare with random 4 items. Or I found a regal. Okay, cool. We're gonna put one more. We're gonna upgrade a magic item to a rare item, or an exalted and add more to a rare. Add more to a rare. Whatever ones that you end up finding in there. This allows you to kind of have that on the fly, so you don't have to worry about it. So just a quick tip before you jump into your first one or jump into any of them. We completed this room. We got this pristine alchemy workbench. Get out of here, you ball guard. It's just cheating right now. Pop that open, and we have upgrade a normal or magic item to a rare item with random 4 modifiers. Now we do have the ability to do that, but I can also just press take. Boom, get ourselves an orb of alchemy. It pops out, so we have access to that. So this is kind of how it breaks down now when it comes to running these. It's all pretty much down to you can rip the currency out by simply going up to these and pressing take at that bottom like I just showed you. Now, as you're going through this entire thing, you're going to notice these little symbols over here on your map. Go ahead and press tab. You can see this one is grayed out. This one is colored in, colored in, colored in, colored in. That means that I have either completed it or not completed it. Grayed out means I've completed it. If it's colored in like this, I have not completed it. So as we kind of go through this room, you can see it up in the mini map in the upper right hand corner of the screen. This is going to quickly go from colored in like this to now room completed, and that's now grayed out. So that's important to note, just so you can keep track of things. And you're going to see these little arrows pointing to all the locations on the map that you've created, so you can keep track of where you've got to go. Like, okay, I've already gone to this room, aside from the fact that I've already discovered it, right? But I know roughly, like, I know I've got a whole bunch of rooms up this direction. They don't really have anything in them. I know I can just kind of beeline for this direction. Now you'll see too, sometimes forging workbenches. These, just like all the previous ones, you can now extract their thing, and it's going to give you 5 whetstone. This would otherwise allow me just to improve the quality of an item, right? So this allows me to extract that currency to continue using it as I see fit. So with having killed the architect here, we have a medallion that's dropped, used to increase max crystal capacity by 6 up to 60. And we got a morning star there. Got a regal shard. But we also have the console. Yes, it's, yeah, I know. It's already, it's okay. All done, calm down. We have also the console, and the console here is going to allow me to, and we had a little bit of destabilization, I think. No, not yet. It'll happen after this. Sorry. We'll have these things. These are the restricted rooms, right? Contains a large stash of currency. Room destabilizes once complete. All these will be like that. And we unfortunately got unlucky in that we have a bunch of vaults, which are great. I mean, currency vault, augment vault. We have ancient reliquary, which is going to contain unique item, gamble sprint. Whoops, I can clearly read and write. And we'll be able to place these in locations, as you can see. So let's go ahead and place currency vault. And I'm sure there's a min-max way to do it, but I'm just going to place each one of these down just to show you that you can do it. I'll even place this. I don't even remember what Gamble's sprint is. It's probably not amazing. So you can only place those 3 as you saw as it was. So then we can build towards those, but we also got that medallion. So used to increase max crystal capacity by 6. Dr. Power chooses to bury himself in his work, seeking freedom of the mind as she followed him even there, learning the theories, ensuring he did not stray in his intent. So this thing right here, it says increase the max crystal capacity by 6. That's this right here, energized crystals. This is how we got here, is the energized crystals. So I'm just going to go ahead and just click that. So now it says 12. Those energized crystals are going to allow us to do more with those crystals. And, energized beacons throughout Rayclast. Energized beacons throughout Waycrest to collect energized crystals to access Aziri Temple. Once 6 energized crystals have been collected and interacting with the temple console, we'll consume them and offer a random selection of 6 rooms. So this just gives you the capability to play around more with rooms, play around more with placing things, and have a little bit of fun in going through this whole process of placing everything down. Now, the destabilization that occurs here, all good there, right? Temple complete. Cool. So we come out of this checkpoint and we'll go back here. So let's now talk about destabilization. So we completed our temple, right? We went through everything. We completed it all. Now we have to get more energized beacons. So we're going to come back to this temple console and we've got no energized beacons. So I'm just going to go ahead and press close temple. And we're going to get a major destabilization, right? Because we just did the architect. So all those rooms we had before are now removed. And you can see that we had a room here, we had a room here, we had a room here. We had just built one here. We had 2 rooms right up here. So those are now gone. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And If we run this and don't do the architect, we're still going to notice that destabilization. We'll lose probably 2 rooms, maybe 3. And it's going to be the same thing once we do Xeri's chamber. We'll lose probably 5 or 6. But this destabilization pretty much keeps things random. And if I were to get 12 more, the whole point of doing this is we want to get these crystals to do the architect's chamber, to get the specific royal access chamber, to then get access to her, well, chamber, or Xeri's chamber. See, it's got a little padlock on it. Until we get that royal access chamber, which will be right here, we cannot access her actual location. So that is a big portion of this and how the whole system works. So all said and done, what was our haul? And the items you get are the items you get, you know, especially as you get in the end game, these rare items, you probably won't even pick them up. But let's take a look at this. We got 4 exalted orbs, we got a chaos orb, we got a regal orb, we got an orb of alchemy, we got a chance shard. I think we got a number of orb of augmentations and of transmutation just by going through the whole process. And we got 6 blacksmith whetstones. So the reward here is far higher than it was prior to the patch. And especially to remember, if you're not past Act 3, you cannot extract the currencies like this. Now, I haven't done the highest tiers of this. Maybe at one point we'll be able to get access to different tiers of the currency. Because remember now, if we go over into our currency tab, we have different currencies of this. And I didn't read in the patch notes if that's a thing. I know that was a bit of a point of contention, but having access to different tiers of these would be even more useful by pulling out, like say, hey, it's a tier 4 guardhouse. Being able to pull out that higher tier is going to be even better. But this huge change already makes it worthwhile, because previously, if you didn't have an item in your stash that you didn't go in, that you didn't walk into that dungeon with, and, or I'm sorry, the Vaal runes with, and you went through all of it and you just didn't have anything to really supercharge all those things with, it was all wasted. You'd have really good drop chance from everything, but if you didn't get anything from the actual drop chance, it didn't ultimately result in much. So this patch just changes the game with the Vaal ruins entirely and makes it far more better. Well, far more better. That's not even, you don't talk like that. It makes it far more rewarding for anyone who wants to do this in the mid game and now in the end game, because they get actual currency from it that they can use for stuff that they want and what have you. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Are you enjoying this improvement to the system? Is this what you now want out of it? Do you now no longer ignore the Vaal ruins like you maybe did before? Or are there other tweaks you'd like to see? Let it be known in the comment section below. There's all sorts of different buildings too, right? I haven't gone into all the different layers of the runes and all the different all the different boosts that you get from those individual rooms. They're all going to drop different things. They're going to have different things that are applied to them. So all those things being able to now be collected, well, most of them, is a huge boon to the player. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.